I went like another 2 nights without any sleep, and like that was when I just kind of started to worry and just kind of going through that part where I'm just trying to figure out what I need to do to fix it type of thing. The further I went down the rabbit hole, the worse I got. And I feel like those medications just gave me like really wild like side effects. I felt like it was very difficult to get through my days. And in a way, I kind of felt just kind of lonely in a way because like I don't feel like anyone like truly understood. But the moment I started to do things just for enjoyment, like that was when I really started to get better because the focus isn't on sleep. I'm able to do a lot better. I was also part of like the group discussions, and I attended some of those Zoom meetings, and those were very helpful as well. I even did the bedtime app as well. Bits and pieces from that really helped a whole lot as well.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to yet another really special Talking Insomnia episode. We have Victoria with us. Welcome.
Hi Daniel, I am so glad to be here.
So glad to have you as a guest. And for those who don't know you, you were part of the immunity program. You did bedtime as well. You're part of our community. And you actually sent an email saying, hey, I'd like to be a guest. And I'm so grateful for that. But with that said, yeah, tell us in yours, how did you start having trouble sleeping in the first place?
Yeah, so I want to say it started in like September. And so I went like 2 days without any sleep, and I didn't really think anything of it. And then I started taking Z-Quil, and I actually took Z-Quil for about a month. And then like after that month, it just kind of stopped working. And I went like another 2 nights without any sleep, and like that was when I just kind of started to worry and just kind of going through that part where I'm just trying to figure out what I need to do to fix it type of thing. And so eventually I went to my doctor, and they were like, well, try CBT-I and see if it works. And like the list of things that they told me to do, I put it on my refrigerator. I like followed it to a T, and none of it worked, of course. And they told me to try like natural supplements. None of that worked as well. And I tried melatonin, um, like a whole bunch of different natural supplements, and none of that worked. And so eventually they prescribed me Trazodone, and that worked for about 3 weeks until it didn't. And then I was kind of in a rough spot because I didn't want to continue to take medications if it wasn't helping me for one. And I would eventually like rely on it type of thing. And I even was prescribed like Ambien at one point, and it was just like the further I went down the rabbit hole, like the worse I got. And it started getting to the point where like just going through the week, I would anticipate all the days would look like. And even on the weekends, like I couldn't like fully relax because I was just anticipating, oh well, what is next week gonna look like? So and I feel like those medications just gave me like really wild like side effects. So yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing this part. And I wanted to ask you, those two first like initial nights that were sleepless, uh, were they kind of out of the blue, or looking back, was there some reason for it? Any stress, or were they just kind of random?
I do kind of feel like I was kind of under quite a bit of stress then for sure, and I really didn't think anything of it, but I did want to get some rest, so that's why I started taking the Z-Quil. And then once I realized, oh well, this isn't working, like that was when I just kind of started to uh like be concerned. So
Yeah, yeah. And during this part where like the Z-Quil start working and you start trying like all the supplements, you go to the doctor, you try your medications, and you're starting to really have a hard time with sleep, is it mainly like it takes a long time to fall asleep, or you're awake most of the night, or it's very fragmented or choppy? What were your nights like?
I felt like it was really hard for me to fall asleep. And then when I did fall asleep, I feel like I would maybe get, on a good day, I would get anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. So I definitely, I was pretty stressed at that moment and just really not getting very good rest. Just because it was like, kind of constantly on my mind. Like I couldn't really think of anything but like sleep. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for sharing this part. And I also ask you, you're not sleeping much, you're not sleeping well, you're constantly thinking about sleep. And how were your days in terms of like obligations, things you had to get done? How did you manage?
That part was very difficult. I felt like it was very difficult to get through my days. And in a way, I kind of felt just kind of lonely in a way because like I don't feel like anyone like truly understood, if that makes any sense. Because literally like I thought of sleep like all the time, and some people were like, "Oh, well, I I hardly ever sleep anymore." And I'm like, "Oh, no, it's a little bit different." I feel like I definitely was off of work for quite a bit. I felt like I was taking a day off at least every like 3 weeks, if not more. And it got to the point where I I just kind of had to like seek help at work to help with like my work obligations and everything. And I actually ended up going on leave for about 3 weeks, which that really helped in itself. I'm really thankful for that. I feel like that was when I really started to get better. So
Yeah, yeah. That's helpful. Sometimes we're so pressured to sleep because we think of work, right? And then
yeah,
having a break from that can really be helpful actually, and give us some take some pressure off.
yeah, absolutely.
Now the tricky part, this is just for the audience who's listening, is the tricky part is sometimes it goes the other way around, where we take some time off and we think like, well, now I have no pressure, now I'm going to sleep well, and then that makes us pressure to sleep, and then it actually
Yes.
goes the other way around.
Yes.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I want to also ask you, your doctor had told you about CBTI. Did you ever do kind of a formal course, or did you just follow some instructions they gave you, or did you try CBTI?
Yeah, so I tried CBT-I, just kind of like what they told me to do. And then at one point I joined like some sort of program, and it just kind of they had me like tracking my sleep, which that wasn't really helpful a whole lot. Um and then kind of when I started to get better, I would kind of look at how much sleep I was getting on my Apple Watch just to kind of like build up my confidence. But I feel like with the CBTI, it wasn't really beneficial, like long term. If anything, it just kind of made things worse. So,
Yeah, completely understand. And was this a more like an online program or an app, or was it actually you went to some place physically?
it was like an app.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay, okay. I'm just adding just for context so we kind of get the
yeah,
story of what happened then. So you tried CBT-I, you tried medications, nothing was really helping, and yeah, and you started September. So where are we? Where are we now in the story where you've tried CBT-I medications and nothing's really helping? Is it kind of a few months later, or when are we?
Yeah, so it went on for a solid like 2 months of just trying those different medications, those different supplements. And like with those medications, I would kind of take like other things with it, and it wasn't really making a difference. And so kind of like it started in September, it went through November, and then at the end of November, that was when I took those 3 weeks off. And then I returned at the beginning of January. And I felt like I kind of saw quite a bit of growth from um the time I took that time off till I returned. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And this is interesting because you saw actually some growth, and things had it sounds like things had already started to get easier for you.
Yeah.
But was that why do you think that was? Was it because you had taken some time off and you had seen that sleep return, and you had kind of more confidence than seeing nothing was wrong with you, or had you started finding kind of meaningful education, or what led to that kind of growth, you think?
Yeah, so right before I went on leave, I went to a doctor's appointment, and the the doctor was pretty cool actually. So um she didn't prescribe me any medications or anything, but she told me like, hey, like movement is really important. Just like, exercising, and just like to help with like that anxiety. And so I started taking like dance lessons, and it really, really did help. And she didn't prescribe me a new medication. She just told me like, hey, try this and see if it works. And I think it did work, because like I was kind of able to like get out of my head, if that makes any sense. So,
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you connected with her, and she was able to help you in this way. And maybe
yeah.
just again, kind of for the audience, somebody may hear this and think like, "Oh, I gotta take dance lessons. That's gonna solve my insomnia." But that becomes
Yeah.
tricky because then we're doing the dance lessons to achieve sleep, right? That's not so helpful. But it sounds like for you, it became like instead of like constantly thinking about sleep, problem solving, you heard that, oh, I can do other things just kind of that I like and get out of my head, like do things I enjoy. And then when the focus shifts away from problem solving sleep, it actually starts getting easier. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I wasn't really taking the dance lessons to like for it to help my sleep. I was mostly just doing it like for my overall well-being, and just kind of taking that and just doing something, um you know not for sleep, because I feel like everything up till that point I was doing like for sleep. And like whatever I ate, whatever I drank, whatever I watched, whatever I did was so, oh well, maybe if I just do this, it'll help me with my sleep. And so, but the moment I started to like do things just for enjoyment, like that was when I really started to get better.
Yeah, yeah. Such a nice point. Thanks for sharing this. And so, you had this nice conversation with the doctor. You started making kind of these meaningful changes in your life. You going back to work, and going back to work, it sounds like that didn't lead you to again have trouble sleeping. You were actually doing better at this point.
Yeah, once I returned to work, I continue to get better, and really kind of like what I told myself. I'm like, I in spite how I feel, I'm just going to keep doing it no matter what. And um no matter how much sleep I get, how much rest, how I feel, like I'm just going to show up. And I'm going to continue to live my life. And so I just kind of made that decision. And it's like because the focus isn't on sleep, I'm able to, to do a lot better. So
Yeah, that's wonderful. And and so things are kind of getting easier for you. And yeah, what happens next?
yeah, well, I continue to get better, and I'm at a pretty good spot right now. Um and really just, continuing to do better, and um just enjoying life. So
That's wonderful. I'm so happy to
yeah,
hear this. And
yeah,
the reason I'm like slightly surprised is that it sounds like um, finding like our channel, the app, the program, and all that stuff was maybe
yeah,
not the biggest thing in your story. It was more kind of like the conversation with the doctor and kind of living your life and etc.
yeah.
But where did yeah, or maybe you can comment on that.
Yeah, well, I definitely feel like, because I was part of the immunity program for a little bit, and that definitely helped as well. And I was also part of like the group discussions, and I attended some of those Zoom meetings, and those were very helpful as well. And I even did the bedtime app as well. So like, just kind of bits and pieces from that really helped a whole lot as well. And just kind of hearing other people's stories, and just kind of like um, a, a lot of things like contributed to getting better. And so
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. So happy to hear this. And now um, there's you kind of like really taking steps on leaving the struggle. And I have just like a few questions for you. One is, have you found that going through this and learning from it, has that helped you in like other areas in life apart from sleep?
it's definitely helped me with like resilience, because I feel like now, after going through that really rough patch, and anybody knows, like anybody who's gone through it, like they know it's really difficult. And so just having gone through that, I feel like a lot more resilient. And I just kind of have a different perspective on life. And I feel like I'm just able to enjoy like the little things. And whenever I get through like a work week, I feel accomplished, because that was just kind of something that was really hard for me, prior. And because I feel like every single week, it was like a really big struggle just to get through the week, and if not every day. And so just like, I just feel like more resilient, and just like joy with the little things. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's wonderful things. They're so helpful and that we can learn. And finally, if you could go back in time to when this all started and tell yourself something, what would you tell yourself?
Um, I would tell myself not to worry, and because I just feel like I worried about every single little thing. And while it feels like horrible, like you're gonna get through it. Cause like when you're in it, it feels like you're never gonna get out of it. And that's just what I would tell myself, and just to keep going. Um, so
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that would surely have been really, really helpful. And now you're not, we can't travel back in time and tell ourselves, but now you're telling many people in our community who's struggling, and I'm sure that's going to help them so much.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I just want to say thanks so much, Victoria, for sharing your story with us, and be in touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Bye, everyone. Hi there, it's me, Daniel, and I hope you found the video you just watched really valuable. Now, if you have wanted to connect with a coach, a certified sleep coach who has had insomnia themselves, but you're busy, maybe you're a parent, maybe you have work obligations, maybe you travel a lot, and it's not easy for you to be there for certain times when there are calls, for example, then bedtime may be a great option for you, because in our app, bedtime, the communication is via text. It's asynchronous. You can send a message at any point, and our coach will reply within 24 business hours. So if you're a busy person who'd like some coaching, then check out bedtime. It may be a great option for you. That's all, and say thanks for tuning in here, and know that I'm rooting for you.